right. Thank you, everybody. So the first question that I would like to check with you guys is, so the first question goes to Atul. Atul, tell me one thing. How many types of services? So what are the three ways to create service connection in Visual Builder? What are the three ways we discussed?
One is select from catalog, second is select from endpoint, and third is select from specification.
Absolutely. So these are the three ways. One is catalog. Second is your defined by specification. And third is defined by endpoint. All right. So the next question is for Manju. So when you use catalog, what is the important part for the catalog to use? Do we need to define something somewhere so that my catalog can be populated? Manju. So when we use catalog, right, we will see multiple options, correct, for one of Oracle Cloud applications, integration, process cloud. But before those options are visible, what is the configuration that we have to do?
I'm not remembering.
Okay. So we have a backend. What we have to do under tenant setting, we will go to the tenant and we will go to the services and we'll add backends by providing the URLs of my backend applications like Oracle Cloud, integration, Oracle Process Automation. And once it is defined, we can go to the service connection and choose select from catalog, and we will see these options there. And when we click on any one of the options, that APIs would be rendered. That is what that catalog uses. Catalog uses the backend. Understood?
Yes.
Great. The next question is for Narasimha. Okay, so Narasimha, so we have action chain. In that action chain, for example, I wanted to call the REST endpoint. So what is the action that we can use to call endpoint, REST APIs?
We need to call the call REST function.
Yes, call
in the
REST
action set.
is the action using which you can call any REST API. So the next question is for Anup. Anup, when you use call REST, can I call only the business object REST APIs, or I can call service connection also?
We can call service connection.
And what about business object APIs? Can I call business object APIs
Yes,
also?
business objects APIs also.
Okay, yes. So that is right. Using call REST, we can either call business object REST APIs as well as service connection APIs. That's right. The next question is for Atul. Atul,
Yes.
create business objects, correct? We
Yes.
can define something called business rules. So what
Yes.
type of business rules we can create there? How many business types, business rules we can create?
We have four, like one is object field validator, and one is function, object function, field validator, object validator, and two are field- object validator, field validator, and two also are there, like
So we have total 5, by the way.
five. Yes.
So one is object validator, field validator, object trigger, field
Yeah,
trigger,
trigger.
and then object function. So
Function,
these are
yeah.
the 5 type of business rules that can be created.
Yes.
Yeah, great. So let's suppose there's a scenario where when my application gets loaded, I wanted to call a REST API automatically, get the data and put it somewhere in the variable. So what should I do for that? That this question goes to Manju. Let me repeat. So when I load my application, when the application is loaded, I wanted to call one REST API, and the response of the API I want to assign into one of the variable. So how can I do that?
By creating a custom variable.
Hmm.
So the properties we can assign the value.
No. What about you, Narasimha? Narasimha, do you know that?
Yeah, actually in the VB Center action chain, we need to we need to call the REST API function. We need to assign the response result to the variable. So first we need to create a variable of any type, ADP or SDP.
Hmm. So
We can assign the
Hmm.
result to this variable and we can,
Also, we can use VB enter.
absolutely, that is the correct
yes,
answer.
VB and yeah, that is the yes, VB enter is the action chain.
Correct. So we have to
Whenever you
yes. So we have to use VB enter to call any REST API when the page gets loaded. Absolutely right. So the VB enter is the one that has to be used. Correct. So the next question is for Anu. Anu, what are the three phases of the application we would have? What are the three statuses I will say we will have while we are working with the VB application? Three status.
Application level and page level.
I'm not talking about scope. I'm talking about three different status. So when you create your application, what will be the first status of the application that you see? And after that, we can change, and one more status we can change. Krishna,
Live.
Development
Yeah.
stage live.
Yes.
stage
Development,
development and like
absolutely. Development, stage, and live. Development is the first status whenever you are creating your application or you are importing it. And if your development is completed, you can stage it, and after that you can live it. Understood? Now, the
Yes.
next question is for Atul. Atul,
Yes.
so when we live the application, okay, so do we see the version in the URL also?
No. No.
No. So when you will live the application, the version will be removed from the URL. But do we see the URL? But do we see the version in the development and stage URLs?
Yes.
Correct.
Development.
Correct. So while you are making live, you can see the version, not version in the URL, but yes, when you are doing stage and you are checking in the preview, the version would be there in the URL. That's right. Correct. Okay. So the next question is related to the business object. So let's suppose we have two business objects. One is employee, second is, let's say, qualification. So if I want to link both the business objects, for example, in the employee, I wanted to give reference of my qualification business object. So what is the data type that I would use to create that linkage in the business object while creating a new field?
relation.
What is the data type name?
Reference.
Reference.
Reference. Absolutely right. Reference is the data type that we will use to create the relationship. Absolutely right. The next question is again around the business object only. Okay, so let's suppose I have four business objects. Okay, A, B, C, D. A, B, C, D business objects are there. Okay, so A, B, C has some transactional data, while D has some master data, for example, country data. While I migrate from stage to live, I want the data from the D business object to the live schema also. So what do you think? which option should I choose of that business object so that the D business object data can be migrated to the live, not the data of other 3 business objects. Let me repeat. So we have 4 business objects A, B, C, D. A, B, C contains transactional data. D contains some master data. I want data from D in all the environments, in all the stages. So what should I do in that D business object to make sure data is always present in all the environments, in all the statuses?
Ankur, I think we need to check the some option set up data or master data in the business objects.
Correct.
That is
So
the
there's
one
a
option.
one option.
And
There's a one option in the business object called contains application setup data, which you can use to make sure that data is always there in your target instances. Understood? Is this clear? Right. So the next question is with regards to the service connection. So basically the question is like this. So when you will add your service connection, you will have 2 options. One is authentication and another is connection type. What are the options that you will see under connection type? What are the options do you see under connection type?
The PCS, process automation, Oracle Cloud.
No. The question, when you will add a new service connection, so you will have 2 options. One is authentication, where we will choose basic or Oracle Cloud account.
Yes.
There's another option called connection type. So in that connection type, we will have multiple options. What are those options available and why do we use those options? So we have one drop down called connection type where we have 3 options. Okay, the 3 option is like this. The 3 option is like this. One,
Dynamic always use course.
yes, that's right. Always
Use existing for
use proxy, right?
always use, yeah.
What we say, one is
Dynamic.
the service support course.
Yes.
Dynamic, the service does not support course, and always use proxy irrespective of course support. So these are the 3 options we will see. So, but when we use always use proxy irrespective of course support, when we use this option, Narsimha, when we use this option called always use proxy irrespective of course support.
no idea. I didn't.
Atul?
I think when we are using Oracle Cloud
No.
application. Okay.
Manju?
No idea, Ankur, I forgot everything. I have to revise my session.
Okay, so basically always use proxy irrespective of course support we will use when the REST endpoint does not support course. Because we will have one layer called proxy and where all the requests will go via proxy to make sure the connection is established. Okay, so we have authentication dropdown. Next question, we have a dropdown called authentication where we have multiple options called none, Oracle Cloud account, delegate authentication, and 4 to 5 more. So these authentication policies are divided into 2 different categories. What are those 2 different categories we have? Anu, we have 2 categories of authentication type.
OAuth and basic.
No, these are the options available, but these options are categorized into two different categories. So we have two categories. One is called identity propagation and second is called fixed credentials. Under identity propagation, what are the options available? Under identity propagation, we have Oracle Cloud Account, delegate, and user assertion. For the fixed, we have none. OAuth 2.0 client credentials, OAuth 2.0 resource owner password credentials, basic and OCI API signature. So these are the options available under fixed. Understood? Okay.
Yes.
So let's consider one example. The example is I have multiple pages, and in that multiple pages, I wanted to show the qualification drop down. I wanted to show the qualification drop down, which will take the data from the business object. So shall I create that drop down in every pages, or do I have something else where I can create that drop down and use it in multiple pages?
In footer and header.
No, footer and header, yes, we create, which is common, but where exactly those headers and footers are getting created, which is common.
Main page.
So we have a segment, we have one thing called fragment. So fragment is the one where we can create all those common, what I can say, common things, and that can be linked into the pages. So if I want to make any change, I can directly make that change in the fragment and will be applied at all the pages where that fragment is being used. Okay. The next question is, so let's suppose I have a requirement where I wanted to show the logged in employee ID into different pages within different modules or flows. So where I can create a variable at the application level or at the flow level or at the page level, so that I can use that variable at everywhere. So I wanted to create only one variable, and I need to use that variable in multiple pages in multiple flows where I can create that variable.
Application level.
Application level.
Application level.
Application level, right? So I can create a variable at the application level, which can be used at multiple pages and multiple flows for the reusability purposes. So application scope will be visible everywhere inside that application. Okay. Now let's come to the security. So let's suppose I have one page. Let's suppose I have one page where I have one toolbar. That toolbar should be restricted. That toolbar should be restricted for one certain set of users. How can I achieve that functionality?
By using application properties.
No.
Using if condition.
Okay. But how would I know that user belongs to that particular group? If condition is okay, but how would I ensure that logged in user comes under that particular group?
We have variable, I think, application dot user dot role.
There's
And
but
after
where
that,
exactly, but what, before I use that, what I have to do?
In the security, you have to select or unset, select the authentication type. as for row?
No. So basically the thing is we have to first create two custom application role. Let's say employee and admin. And then in employee and admin, I will assign groups and users, and those users and groups will come from the IDCS. And then in the if condition, I will make a condition where I will check if that logged in user belongs to that particular group, particular role. If yes, then show that, otherwise don't show that. That is what we can do to secure some part of the page. All right. Let's suppose another question related to the security. Let's suppose I have one page called ABC, or let's say the page name is main-secure. I don't want one set of users. I don't want one set of users to view the functionality or to view that page at runtime. So how can I secure that page? How can I secure that page?
Using business object security.
I'm not talking about business object, right? I'm talking about maybe I have a static data, right, on the page.
Yes.
I don't want my users, a set of users, to view that page. If they try to access that page, they should have an error called 403, forbidden error. So what we can do, we can go to a page. Under page, we can go to the settings. And under settings, we can say require authenticated access checkbox. And we can choose the role who would like to view that page. That is what we can do there. All right. Okay. So let's suppose I have a use case where I wanted to call 3 different REST endpoints in parallel because they are not dependent to each other. What is the action that can be used in the action chain to call 3 different endpoints in parallel? Narasimha?
Yeah.
So which is the action that you can use to call these 3 endpoints in parallel?
Uh,
Manju?
Can you repeat the question?
So I have 3 endpoints, and those 3 endpoints I wanted to call in parallel, one by, not sequential, parallel.
Okay, we have one action run in parallel.
Correct. So we have one action called run in parallel that can be used to call multiple, not only endpoints, we can execute multiple logics in parallel. Okay. The last question is, of course, we have action chain, and under action chain, we have multiple actions. So let's suppose I have defined one JavaScript function. So what will be the action that you can use to call that function?
All function.
Absolutely.
All function, yes.
Call function is the one that we can use to call functions under JavaScript. Thank you, everybody. That is the thing that I wanted to chat with you. Thank you.